Recollections by Sana Akhtar. With an insider, Karachi shares innumerable secrets. Like a long married couple, they probably sit together through many sunsets and joke about all the things only they know of. Silly, wry tributes to years and years of company and a bond that strengthens every time someone tries to break it. Conversely, to an outsider, the city remains elusive, even if it welcomes them. But for those Karachites who have moved somewhere else, even many years after their departure, Karachi stays with them. The city keeps seeping in from underneath tightly shut doors of memory. When I was still very little, my parents used to take me to the seashore of the city. I don't remember much about it. I was probably too young, but one thing I do remember is that their love for the sea was transmitted into me. I remember how enigmatic and fascinating each and every wave seemed to me back then, and how strongly it affected my sense of aesthetics. And now, after quite a few years, one day I stopped at a seaside restaurant with friends. That part of the Arabian Sea was speaking to me at that very moment. I thought maybe this was the place where my parents used to visit. Today, all I could think of at that very moment was how could anyone bear to live right next to something so powerful, so beautiful? How were people not driven into a frenzy by the sea as it crashed endlessly on the shore? Or maybe they were. It was then I began to recollect how my grandfather used to tell me about our favorite city. He frequently used to mention that in the early days after the partition, Karachi was a beacon of hope, an opportunity for migrants who came from everywhere. He often expressed that Karachi was once a city of dreams, where everybody, irrespective of race, color, or creed, had the opportunity of prosperity and success and an upward social mobility through perseverance and hard work. No matter who you were or where you came from in pursuit of your dreams, you were received eagerly by this magnificent and truly metropolitan city. His earliest flashes of memory were of a beautiful city with sandy beaches, a city which never went to sleep and seemed to pulsate round the clock, unlike any other urban center in the country. Its sea breezed cool evenings, scented by Raat Ki Rani, were the stuff of poetry. Its famed nightlife was not only for the rich but was accessible to the middle class. Yes, any bustling metropolis in the third world won't be without its share of poverty. But Karachi somehow managed to take the poor into its embrace. Rarely did anyone sleep hungry. My grandfather talked about the chai khanas and eateries from the good old days. Cafes appeared ordinary yet inviting from the outside. You could instantly connect with those places. Tiny chairs, white toppled tables, polite waiters, small teapots, and a display of antique crockery and cutlery. The service was prompt and waiters had a welcoming grin all the time. Among all those cafes, my grandfather especially talked about Las Bela. He specified that this particular cafe was the hub of all the writers and poets of that time. Then there was the coffee house at Amegina Road and PIDC Pan, where my grandfather and his friends went on every night out. Social life was pretty fast, and I believe it still is. In Karachi, there is a blend of culture from all the provinces of Pakistan which makes it special. People in Karachi love to celebrate events. Setting aside all the differences in caste, color, and standards of living, there weren't many cars on the roads back then, but one still caught an occasional glimpse of cars roaring down Victoria Road, like pre-war MGs or muscle cars with the V8 engines. Chevrolet was the king in those days, and during the 50s and 60s, right up to the early 70s, the Chevy Bel Airs and then the Impalas were the most popular of all cars. The Dodge Darts came in during the early 60s and were fairly common, but the Chevy was the automobile of choice. Karachi is known informally as the City of Lights. Fast forward to several decades later, and Karachi has aged tremendously. It is no longer considered a starry eyed child nurtured by ambition. Nowadays, as I step out of my home, I can see three young men standing in the middle of the road with automatic weapons. They fire three shots in the air. There is a young man who struggles to catch his breath as he turns to look at the bus on fire. There is also a woman who is rushing to bring back her daughter from school. There are no rickshaws on the road, so she starts to walk. There is a 55-year-old laborer who couldn't make his daily wage of rupees 100, 400 because of the riots today. There is a patient who needs a weekly dialysis, but he missed his slot today because of the strike in the city. There are Sindhis, Balochis, Punjabis, and Pakhtuns. All political parties own them, talk about them, and they are still on their agenda. But whenever their activists are killed, they hijack their homes, closing all roads. They leave us Karachites stranded by seizing the petrol pumps and shut down markets, turning a deaf ear to our shouts of misery. In some ways, however, it is only befitting that Karachi has the sea on its side, the almost suicidal energy that rushes through the city every day and night, in every dhaba and every siyasi nara, every overfilled bus, and every pan-smattered pavement, seems to find a flawless mirror in the Arabian Sea. And yet Karachians keep walking with bruised knees and scraped ankles, loving their city more and more every day.